Hello, everyone. My name is David Luna, and this is my presentation for the ethics of service robotics. Um, this is for the MTRE class 6720. Yeah, let's get started. All right, so we got a summary of the topics. First, we'll be going over the technical background of service robotics, get you a good feel of what we're talking about, and help you understand better what we're going to be covering today. And then after that, we're going to be going over the literature review. There's going to be a bunch of separate research articles that I found that I think adequately cover the topic of service robotics and the ethics within those. And then after that, we'll be going over the ethical theory that I have found and think outline service robotics well. And then we're going to apply that to service robotics and try to cover all of our bases there, and then we'll have a conclusion after that. All right, let's get started. Starting off with a technical background. Alrighty, so we got the technical background. Service robots are defined as robots that perform useful tasks for human and equipment outside of industrial automation settings. So robots kind of used in everyday life um, and used to help and benefit humans and equipment that humans use, but this is outside of industrial or automation settings. This can still be in professional settings. We'll cover that in a second, but just not industrial or automation. So, moving on. So, yeah, they become more widespread in today's world. They're more regular, seen in regular situations. Um, the ISO, the International Organization for Standardization, classifies service robots um, into two different classifications. They classify them into professional use and personal use. So professional use is a little straightforward. It's just um, used in professional settings, professional fields such as medical, construction, defense, rescue, and security fields. Um, all those types of robots can be classified professional service robots. And then personal service robots are defined as um, being used personally outside of work. So this can be for entertainment, home security, elderly or handicap assistance, or personal transportation. Um, so this is a pretty widespread field. It covers a lot of bases. Uh, and for a more visual uh, help with this, I have a taxonomy of service robots that's proposed by the ISO um, and their classification. So they have service robots, and they're being linked to personal and professional use, and all those expand to lots of different types of robots. So professional use will be like with cleaning, medical, logistics, rescue and security, underwater applications, all these kinds of stuff. And personal use is entertainment, home security, domestic robots, elderly and handicap assistance, personal transportation, like that. These all cover the field of service robots, just classified under two different types. And for more of a visual, we got pictures to kind of help you see what I'm talking about. So examples of service robots. First, we're going to start off with the Roomba. Um, that's very common in households today. It's just a vacuum cleaner, fully autonomous, does it by itself, no human help. Um, it's made to help humans. It cleans the carpets, floors, and um, it's very useful, and it's being seen very prominently throughout everyday life. Next, we have Moxie, the healthcare robot. This is a very interesting robot. It's a it's a robot that is more humanoid than the rest. It's very designed to be very personable. It's for healthcare use. Its main purpose is to help patients. It gives medicine to patients and does very basic nurse-like activities. Can't really do anything super detailed just yet due to limitations, but it's very advanced in its face and how it gives care um, to its patients. And so lastly, we have sidewalk delivery robots. This is a general robot. This isn't a specific brand or anything like Moxie or Roomba. This is just um, Delivery robots, it's like a car robot. A lot of different companies are utilizing this. Um, they drive around cities on sidewalks and they deliver food or anything else. Amazon's using it to deliver packages in big cities, and this eliminates the use of big cars or having the need of delivery drivers. It's just an autonomous robot that drives itself to its destination with the package and gives access only to the customer, no one else. So very useful robots here, and these are all examples of service robots. All right, moving on to with the technical background. Um, so service robots they're becoming smarter. Um, they're given the ability to make decisions and adapt to their given environment with the use of AI, machine learning, computer vision, and robotics hardware. Um, this is very important. Instead of just doing similar tasks every day, they're now been given the ability to make decisions and do different things other than just one task. Just making them smarter, making them more coherent. Today's service robots can handle more complex adaptive tasks, navigate dynamic environments, and interact naturally with people using speech, gestures, and even facial expressions. You see that in that Moxie robot we just looked at. Has a face and it has arms, and it's given more of a humanoid feel to give more care to patients and make them feel more welcome, make them enjoy the service more. And these skills are very useful and very versatile on all kinds of fields. As you saw, those three robots we looked at were all three different fields and really different environments. All right, so uh, with these robots come ethical questions. We're going to go over a couple real quick just to have you thinking about this. Um, so privacy of these robots. With these robots come a collection of a lot of personal data when they're performing these tasks. Because of that, we need privacy on that data collected because we're not sure where they go. It goes to the company, and a hacker, somebody could access this data and use it against us, and that's no good. So privacy is a big deal for these robots. Autonomy is also a big deal. With robots getting smarter, it comes with a question: how much decision making should we give to robots? What is the correct amount of power we should give to a robot when working with humans? As they get smarter, um, should they be able to reason with us and do things outside of their job? You know, as it raises these ethical questions. Also, bias. Um, when robots can act unfairly if their AI systems are biased, that depends on the programmer, and it can be programmed with a specific set of ethics, uh, and that isn't followed by everyone, and the robot can act unfairly in a situation depending on the person, while their programmer deems it as fair. So these are all just questions to think about. All right, so next we got the literature review. Um, moving on, so all this research was found using the KSU library, EBSEO host, and Google Scholar. An introduction to this literature review, we're going to be covering three different research articles. The first being Towards Conscious Service Robots by Sven Banke, Service Robots, Care Ethics and Design by A. Van Weinsberg, and Ethics to Prepare Educators for Professional Service Robots in Classrooms by Wordland School of Education. So an introduction to the literature review. In reviewing these topics about service robots, there are several patterns. Patterns like commonality. They all agree that robots are rapidly advancing and entering day-to-day life. It's very prominent in today's life, and all of these articles agree with that and say that in the future it will be even more prominent. They also all agree with conflict. They agree that there's a tension between innovation benefits and serious ethical risks. They all kind of highlight their own ethical risks, but all of these articles agree that there's a tension between the benefits and the risks. And also there is a gap. They all highlight the ethics between these robotic theories, but no one really goes into super depth of uh, ethics between robots. Um, they more so go over the innovations. So today we'll be covering the ethics behind those innovations. So criteria for analyzing these sources: how clear the paper defines ethical issues, how it evaluates real-world robotic applications, and whether it proposes solutions or simply describes problems. We'll be going over that. All right. So uh, the first research article we're going over is Towards Conscious Service Robots by Sven Benke. Um, Benke explains in this article that service robots are still limited compared to human flexibility. He argues that future service robots must develop the ability to monitor themselves to avoid risks and mitigate errors. He kind of goes over um, all the kinds of abilities and what robots should adapt to have a better conscience. Um, and the abilities like planning, error detection, adaptation to survive in complex, unpredictable environments, all these kinds of things. And currently they struggle with non-stationary environments, high variability, partial observability, and complex tasks. While robots can do this, can handle these situations, it usually takes them more time, or they follow more steps than a human would. So they're not up to par yet with that. Um, but this paper does stress the urgent need for ethical management in this service robot topic. Benke argues that two systems of human thinking are essential for safe, trustworthy service robots. So System 1 ensures speed and efficiency for normal tasks. System 2 ensures adaptability and ethical reasoning when new and risky situations arise. So System 1 is more so like instinct, and System 2 is like just actual reasoning and fully thinking out the problems. So if robots only rely on System 1, they'll fail when something unexpected happens. If they only rely on System 2, they'll be too slow and impractical for daily use. So robots must balance quick reactions with careful deliberation, just like humans would. They need to use both of these systems in order to work correctly and fairly. All right, so the ethical relevance of all this. If service robots can self-monitor, they can better avoid causing harm and respect user needs. However, if poorly designed, autonomous learning could also lead to unpredictable or biased behaviors that harm trust. How can autonomous robots avoid harming users? How do we prevent robots from making unethical decisions on their own? These are all important questions. Robots capable of systematic generalization and self-monitoring will need ethical safeguards to align with human moral expectations. If they have all this power, they need some kind of safeguard to make it align with human morals. All right, moving to our second source, we have Service Robots, Care Ethics and Design by A. Van Weinsberg. So this is an interesting research article. So Van Weinsberg proposes that the care-centered, value-sensitive design, CCVSD, approach to robotic ethics. She opposes this, and she argues that service robots must be evaluated through their participation in care practice, where needs are met through reciprocal interactions between caregiver and care receiver. They should also offer a proactive ethical framework focused on embedding moral values into the robot design process itself, not just evaluating consequences afterward. So they should have it already in their code and already programmed into them, not having them learn ethics as they go. Van Weinsberg stresses that if service robots are designed without careful ethical embedding, they risk abolishing reciprocity and eroding trust in human relationships. So this way of thinking shifts the ethical question from what actions should robots take to how should robots be designed for foster caring relationships and uphold human dignity. Very interesting stuff. She talks very well about this topic. She's mostly focused on healthcare robots, like the Moxie robot we looked at. She applies this CCVSD uh, way of thinking to broader service robot contexts, um, remaining in developing areas. All right, so lastly, we're going to be covering the ethics to prepare educators for professional service robots in classrooms. This is by Workland School of Education. Uh, so in this article, they distinguish ethics for morality. Um, they distinguish ethics or morality by saying personal beliefs are about right and wrong, but ethics by saying a public framework for evaluating actions fairly and universally. Um, so they address this with service robotics, safety and error prevention. So robots must be designed to minimize harm. Um, They also talk about law and ethical standards. Robots should not operate under existing legal frameworks. Mm-hmm. So, what do we learn from all this? First, that it's clear that service robots are moving fast in everyday life, not just in what you'd expect, like hospital and factories, but in homes, stores, and public spaces. There is a big concern. If we don't build strong ethical values into these robots from the beginning, we could end up hurting human dignity, privacy, and trust without even meaning to. This can happen very easily if we're not careful. Uh, so most researchers agree on these problems, like privacy risks, loss of human connection, but few offer a real roadmap for how to design robots with ethical uh, values across all industries, not even healthcare and education, across all industries. This is kind of a new topic among robots. And so on we move on. Nope. So, what is Kantian ethics? Kantian ethics is uh, developed by philosopher Immanuel Kant. His main idea was that morality isn't about consequences, it's about moral duties. Kant believed that every human being has intrinsic worth just because they are rational and autonomous. So, this applies to robots. Once we give robots full autonomy, um, what happens then? Do we give the same value that we give human beings to this? Vice versa. Alrighty, so he goes over a couple different definitions in his theories, his uh, ethical theories. So first is the categorical imperative. He defines this as a universal moral law that everyone must follow no matter the situation. Um, you can kind of test this by asking yourself, what if everyone in the world did this? And if the action would lead to a contradiction or a bad world, then it itself is immoral. Um, that would lead to a better world, it's moral. This is kind of like saying, as an example, like lying is wrong because if everyone lied, truth would disappear, trust would disappear, and communication would break down. Therefore, telling the truth is universal duty. This is how you can kind of explain the categorical imperative for different things. Um, where the second thing he covers is treat people as an ends, not means. Um, so he defines this as always treat people as valuable in themselves, never just as tools to achieve your own goals. This matters because it's using people only to get what you want actually disrespects their humanity. You should use them, um, never use them as a tool, but as their own value. All right, and now we're going to apply this Kantian ethics to service robots. So, an application of Kantian ethics to these service robots that we've covered. Designing and deploying service robots, we should use Kant's two key rules: follow universal morals, respect every human being. In following universal um, moral rules, we should act only in ways that could be laws for everyone, and in respecting every human being, we should treat people as valuable, never as a tool. So, in respecting autonomy, Kant says humans must be free to make their own choices. When we apply this to robots, robots should support their user decisions, not make decisions for them without consent. So, example, a hotel robot offering you multiple options for room service rather than just picking your dinner for you. Um, robots should empower us, not control or manipulate us. All right, next application is privacy. Protect privacy as a moral duty. So Kant says, using someone's private information without permission treats them as a means. So we apply this to robots. Robots must collect a minimum data necessary. They must secure data and clearly inform users about what is being recorded and why. Um, yeah, so the goal for this is users should never feel spied on or used for profit. Another application, being transparent and avoid deception. So Kant says honesty is a duty because lying or deception breaks universal trust. This goes back to the categorical imperative that we talked about. So we're applying this to robots. Robots should never pretend to have emotions if they don't actually experience them. Um, Companies should not exaggerate robot capabilities in advertising or during use. Um, a customer service robot, as an example, customer service robot should not fake human empathy just to get better reviews. Um, so the goals for this is foster genuine trust through honesty and non-manipulation. If a robot keeps trying to manipulate us like this, we can just not trust it in the future, and it just will be a cycle of distrust. So lastly, maintain clear accountability. Kant says respect for persons requires that wrongs be recognized and corrected. So we're applying this to robots. There must always be a clear human responsibility for robots' actions, whether it's developers, owners, or operators. Um, as an example, if a security robot wrongly detains someone, the company must take accountability, not just blame the robot. There must be someone to hold accountable. The goal for this, robots must not be used as excuses to avoid human moral responsibility. Um, should always be someone to hold accountable. All right, so we move to our conclusion. So in conclusion, what have we learned today? So service robots are quickly becoming part of everyday life in homes, hospitals, streets, and businesses. These robots bring huge potential benefits like efficiency, convenience, assistance for vulnerable groups. But they create serious ethical risks. They can violate privacy, undermine human autonomy, create biases, displacing human jobs, confusing accountability when things go wrong. So how does this research help us understand the problem? So Banke taught us that robots need both fast instincts and slow reasoning to function safely. But we must ethically guide these capabilities. We need to use both of them, ethically and morally. So Van Weinsberg showed us that robots must be designed to support caring, reciprocal relationships, not just programmed for outcomes. Needs to be caring in their actions and not just look for a number or a set of outcomes, but give care while doing their actions. Workland School emphasized that ethics of care must be embedded from the start, ensuring robots truly enhance human dignity. All right. So, how Kantian ethics gives us a solution. So, gives us a respect for persons. Robots should never manipulate or deceive users, only support human choices. It gives us universal moral rules. Robots must act accordingly to ethical principles we would want everyone, including humans, to follow. Um, it gives us fairness and accountability to robots. So human creators must stay responsible for robot behavior. And finally, Kant's ideas push us to treat people as ends, not means, even when assigning machines. So where do we go from here? We build ethical guidelines directly into robot design, not wait until problems arise. We should create global ethical standards for service robots, flexible enough to respect different cultures, and conduct more research on long-term human-robot relationships, not just short-term interactions. These are all very important things.